The 2024-2025 season was undoubtedly an off year for Manchester City.
Well, it's the most challenging time in City's recent history.
And I'm not good enough. It's as simple as that.
A campaign that Pep Guardiola himself described as a season of survival.
The season start difficult, will be difficult all season. So you have to survive, it's a season to survive.
For a team accustomed to winning, this was torture. Pep City won so much that winning the Premier League with them felt like losing your virginity to a prostitute. Imagine winning 6 Premier League titles in 7 years, then suddenly you find yourself having to fight till the last match day for Champions League football.
Of course, for all the clubs, it's better to win Champions League than in Europa League. That's for sure.
Could be worse though. You could be like the other Manchester team and be chilling in the lower half of the table.
People say now we are 4 now. It could be 11 or 12 or 13 or 14. I don't have any doubts of that.
But even amongst this terrible season, there were moments of greatness that suggest City will be back and scarier than ever.
And still have to adjust some things, few things, but hopefully it can happen.
Before I get to the positives, we have to see why City fell apart almost overnight. It felt like they were losing every week. A humiliating 4-0 defeat to Tottenham at the Etihad. A complete collapse against Feyenoord in the Champions League.
Manchester City have thrown away a 3-0 advantage.
I mean, how are you up 3-0 with like 15 minutes to go and you draw 3-3? Then they somehow lost to Amorim's United. These moments weren't just lost points. They significantly ruined the team's confidence. I mean, look at the scratches on Pep's head.
I want to hurt myself, yeah.
This guy was losing his mind, which is understandable. I mean, imagine winning almost every single game you play, and then suddenly you're in a position where you can't even buy a win.
I don't like it. I slept not as good as I slept when I won every game.
When I used to go on a losing streak in FIFA or in Foot Champs, I was breaking everything.
I'm gonna break my monitor, I swear.
Now, people kept giving them the benefit of the doubt because they had a history of really getting into form in the second half of the season, then bulldozing through everyone the way athletes bulldoze through Kim Kardashian. Like, how many times did we see City in a position where they were second or third, then they would go on a run of 20 wins, and boom, once May comes around, they're lifting the Premier League trophy. Yet, as time went by, nothing changed. In fact, other teams were smelling blood. They knew that they could beat this version of Pep City. Bournemouth beat them. Arsenal slapped them. Brighton got a win. Now, injuries made the situation a lot worse. An obvious one is losing Rodri. We know how important he was. Ballon d'Or winner. A guy who missed 3 games in the 2024 season and City lost all 3. He was irreplaceable. Not just because of his talent, but because there was literally nobody else at the time who could play in his position. There's someone who can play there now, but I'll get to that later in the video. Nobody else could play as the sole pivot. Nobody could defend and score. Now, of course, the collapse goes far beyond just one injury. The Rodri reason could have been used if City finished second in the Premier League or just fell short in the Champions League. But this drop-off is due to more reasons than Rodri being out. Another injury that halted the team was Haaland. The Norwegian robot was plagued by reoccurring ankle issues, which significantly impacted City's attack, because without Julian Alvarez, they had nobody else that could play up front. His partner in crime in Kevin De Bruyne was also injured for even longer parts of the season. That duo was one of the biggest reasons why City had won the treble in 2023 and a league title in 2024. If you guys remember, KDB came back from injury midway through that season and just casually put up 18 assists. Premier League teams were shaking when he returned like he's Voldemort or something. Eddie Howe couldn't believe his eyes when the Ginger Maestro came off the bench to completely turn around the City vs Newcastle game.
Yeah, the quality told in the end. I thought the substitution of De Bruyne, obviously world-class player. He's scored one, he's assisted one, and he's made the difference, really.
So it was a huge miss to not have him for large chunks of the 2025 season. He showed that he still has that magic in him as City came back to slap Crystal Palace. I don't know what happened in the negotiations, but I feel like they should have tried to keep him just on lower wages. Yes, he isn't what he used to be because he pushed his body to the limit in that 2023 season, but even with his legs gone, he's still one of the best creators in world football. His ball striking, vision, and passing have not gone worse. I felt that if they surrounded him with athletic guys who will do the running for him, he could still pull out moments of magic when City needed it the most. I mean, imagine De Bruyne playing through balls to Marmoush and Haaland. It sounds like the dream. And I feel that De Bruyne would have been willing to take a back seat, play a few matches here and there, mentor some of the young guys, but reportedly he was never even offered a contract. But City were probably scared that they were getting too sentimental with the veteran players. And it makes sense because senior players like Ilkay Gundogan, Kyle Walker, Bernardo Silva, guys who were usually the pillars of consistency at the club, experienced some pretty big dips. Pretty sure in parts of the season that wasn't Kyle Walker at right back, that was Lincoln Burrows from Prison Break. Guardiola's continued reliance on these guys was a problem. It showed the trust that had been built over the years of shared success, but it also showed a reluctance to move towards the next generation. In big 2025 Pep, you can't be running the Bermuda Triangle of Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, and Kovacic in the midfield. At least not without Rodri. Not during a period where the athleticism in the Premier League has been sky high. I still think the Unks have something left in the tank, but they gotta be surrounded by youth. What didn't help is that Phil Foden had one of the biggest drop-offs I've ever seen. The guy went from being the Premier League Player of the Year, scoring clutch goal after goal for City, dunking on Madrid at the Bernabeu, yet now he plays like English Garnacho. I don't know what happened to him. Usually when a player drops off like this, you have to look for external reasons in his personal life, because from a footballing perspective it makes no sense. Yes, the team as a whole struggled, but he just looked a shadow of himself. The team was struggling in parts in 2024 as well, but it was Foden who was dragging them out. He stepped up hugely, considering that KDB was not playing then. But in the 2025 season, nothing. There was a brief period in the new year where he basically scored in every single game for 4 games in a row, but that was it. If City are gonna return back to the top, they're gonna need the best version of Phil Foden. Despite the difficult year though, there are many things that City fans should be excited about. One of City's strongest assets remains Guardiola himself. History shows us that he rarely has back-to-back bad seasons. For example, after finishing 3rd in his first Premier League season in the 2016-2017 year, he responded spectacularly the following year, setting a record-breaking 100 points as City became champions. Similarly, after losing the league title to Liverpool in the COVID season, Guardiola City bounced back to win the championship again in 2021. This guy does not undergo long periods of failure. He just doesn't. He'll figure out what went wrong and fix the issues at hand. His recent contract extension also confirms that he's fully committed to the project, which is a great reassurance for fans, because this was the most challenging year in Pep Guardiola's entire career. So it's good to know that he's gonna stay at it and rejuvenate the side. Yes, he made some tactical mistakes. At times, maybe he was too stubborn, but at the end of the day, as long as he's the manager, City always have a chance. Arguably, the best thing to happen this season is the injection of youth into the team. Omar Marmoush was one of the biggest saving graces during a terrible year. Arriving mid-season, this guy exploded onto the scene. He kept up the great form that he had shown in the Bundesliga. So you guys can call Bundesliga a farmer's league, but Marmoush showed that he can score just as well in England. He's the exact kind of direct attacking threat that City lacked. Somebody to get him behind. Somebody who has speed. I mean, the guy scored a 14-minute hat-trick against Newcastle, a team that is notoriously tough to play against. He's pretty much the perfect Alvarez replacement, because he can play on the wing, he can play as an attacking midfielder, he can play up front by himself. His versatility is crazy, and not only is he fast, he's great on the ball, and he knows how to find the back of the net. Keep in mind, he was this good arriving mid-season. Imagine how good he will be with a full preseason with the squad, learning from Pep, getting used to his teammates. Frankly, I think the other City players have to get used to Marmoush. The amount of times this guy makes a run in behind that the players don't play is ridiculous. All he needs is one over-the-top through ball, or one threaded pass on the ground and he's off. Salah better watch out because there's a new Egyptian on the block. The other great story was the arrival of Husanov. The young Uzbek defender stepped in confidently when given opportunities. Yes, his debut was shaky, but who can blame the guy? Pep decided to make the guy's first start be in a very difficult match against Chelsea. But ever since that shaky start, the guy has been phenomenal. He's aggressive, he's fast, he fights for the badge. He quickly transformed from a guy who seemed like a liability to one of City's best defenders. It's also a weird situation where sometimes I would hear the commentators really harp on him, but when I watched the match, he was doing fantastic. Again, it's another guy who's young and he's fast, which is exactly what that backline needs. The problem with Kyle Walker was that he was fully reliant on his speed, so when he began to lose it, he became as useless as Bonnie Blue's father. Husanov can play as a center back, he can play as a right back. He's one of those guys that fights for the badge. And once again, it's a guy who arrived mid-season. Give him a full preseason, allow him to learn more from Pep, and he has the potential to really become a rock and anchor City's new back line. The guy that can complement him is Vitor Reis. City's being a little bit more patient with him. They haven't thrown him into the mix like Husanov, and that's probably because he's coming from Liga do Brasil. But at Palmeiras, he was highly sought after. Basically, City have found their next version of John Stones and Ruben Dias. Vitor is the next John Stones, basically the skinny, lanky guy who's very good on the ball, and Husanov is the next Ruben Diaz, a strong, aggressive defender that is captain material. And then we have Nico Gonzalez, a man who's so good that he was called Mini Rodri by Pep Guardiola himself.
Remember, like a mini Rodri.
Nico Gonzalez is a signing that should have been made a long time ago. The fact that Rodri didn't have anybody even near his profile in the team was a problem. City tried to get Bellingham, they tried to get Declan Rice, but when they failed, they didn't go for an alternative. Nico is exactly what this City team needed. Somebody with strength, aggression, athleticism, but also great on the ball. As soon as he came in, he made an impact right away. This is the type of player that you can give the ball to him, and no matter how much pressure there is around him, he will keep the ball. What's great is that he doesn't even need to be a Rodri replacement. The two Spaniards can easily play together. Yes, Nico isn't as good defensively as Rodri, but his ceiling remains high. It's an area of his game that he will continue to develop once he gets regular minutes. Then how can I forget about James McAtee? After impressing with his goal-scoring instincts in limited opportunities, McAtee seems ready for a more substantial role. I mean, this guy scored a hat-trick against Salford City. Yes, I know they're not the best, but it's still a hat-trick. Then he scored against Ipswich in the Premier League. His ability to influence games from midfield is going to be crucial as City transitions away from some of its senior midfielders. No idea why Pep hasn't given this guy more playing time. Young players need to be playing to develop.
Because I didn't allow him to play minutes. So I cannot ask anything for this type of players that don't play a lot of minutes. They could do better. No.
And this kid seems to have all the tools to really make an impact. City don't want to end up in a position like what happened with Rodgers and Lavia. This guy can make an impact now. No point in losing him to some other team. Then we have Echeverri. Manchester City fans have plenty of reasons to be excited about Echeverri joining the team. At just 19 years old, he led Argentina's under-20 team as a captain, scoring 6 goals and helping them reach the final of the South American Championship. The Argentine midfielder's creativity and dribbling means that Pep has access to another player that can create something out of nothing. Naturally, given his age and playstyle, he might need some time to adapt. But this is a player who was fantastic for River Plate. He was talked about a ton in South America. He can score and he can create. Once again, a player that has all the qualities needed to really make an impact for Manchester City and make it soon. Another talent that we saw glimpses of is Nico O'Reilly, who actually emerged as an unexpected hero during City's FA Cup journey.
Nico, you're loving the FA Cup this season. It's 3 goals, 2 assists.
Now, O'Reilly has been at City since he was 8 years old and quickly captured attention with his versatility and flair. He really showed his ability during City's preseason tour and the Community Shield win over United. That's when Guardiola quickly realized that O'Reilly is very adaptable. It's why the ball genius has used him in various positions from defensive midfield to fullback, and it's worked.
And how do you sum up the impact of this guy?
He was unbelievable. Against Plymouth, he showed the impact that he can have on the game, and the energy that he brought into the game changed completely.
He got 2 assists against Bournemouth and vital goals against Plymouth and Salford, showing that he's a player that can perform under pressure. Also, I completely forgot about Oscar Bob. He was playing so well before his injury. He's good with both feet, he's excellent in tight spaces, great in 1v1 situations, a very lethal winger that can score and create. You see this jersey he's wearing? You can have the same one if you go to buygamejerseys.com and use code PETTALKS for a discount. These young talents don't just show that they have potential. They are going to be crucial for City's development in the next few years. Like I said, players like Marmoush, Husanov, Nico Gonzalez. These guys are young, but they're good enough to make an impact right away. Historically, Guardiola and City as a whole were very good at phasing out aging stars. But I think winning the Premier League title in 2024 may have masked many of the issues that were forming, cracks that had begun to show. And as a result, it slowed down the club's urgency to refresh the squad. But 2025's difficulties have shown that a kickstart is needed. A transition has to start happening.
I said this season we will not get best, but we're good.
Another positive is Haaland, in a season that is supposed to be a down year, was still at the top when it came to goal scoring. The best creators around him had a dip in form. He was even dealing with an ankle injury towards the back end of the season, yet he still casually scored over 20 plus goals once again. This guy is an absolute robot, and with more creators around him, he's gonna score even more goals. If this guy's almost winning the Golden Boot while dealing with ankle injuries, imagine what he's gonna do when he's healthy. He's already won back-to-back Golden Boots. On top of Haaland's City already have other top guys. We've seen how good Savinho can be in terms of creating chances for Haaland and others. Hopefully Pep actually uses Savinho alongside Doku more. That's an excellent combo on the wings. The City team at times has lacked speed and directness, something that both Doku and Savinho have in abundance. Less Bernardo Silva at right wing and more Savinho, please. Every team naturally has a down year. Klopp's Liverpool went through it. Even Ferguson's United went through it when they finished third in back-to-back seasons in 2004 and 2005. I'm actually shocked this didn't happen earlier to City, to be honest. How were these players able to keep their hunger and determination when they kept winning year after year? It's hard to keep up that desire. It's like when a broke guy gets money, or a guy who can never get laid finally gets a girlfriend. In many ways, a bad year could be seen as a blessing, allowing City to appreciate just how difficult it is to be crowned champions when May comes around. They made it look easy, made the best league in the world look like a farmer's league, but they have all the ingredients to return back to winning. Cause right now they have a mix of good experienced players, some fantastic new signings, and promising young talents rising through the ranks. Cause now these young talents are going to be surrounded by Rodri coming back from injury, Haaland being fully healthy, and Foden hopefully learning how to play football again. These down years are needed to lay the groundwork for future success. There is never light without dark. You can't achieve anything great without pain. Pep has experienced winning for so long that I think even he will look back at the season as a great learning moment for him and the team, and it will make the resurgence feel that much more special. But one guy who unfortunately won't be able to experience that winning feeling ever again, at least not in a City jersey, is Kevin De Bruyne. To see his legacy at City and why, in my opinion, he will go down as the greatest midfielder to ever grace the Premier League, you gotta check out this video right here.